So, in continuing with the theme of moving out of princess energy and into queen energy, I want to share today my thoughts and philosophy around how this shows up in relationship with other women, other friendships. We know that we have been very deeply conditioned in this patriarchal structure to feel threatened by one another as women, to feel in competition with one another. That has often come down through our relationships with our mother. If our very first experience with another woman was with a mother who did not have female friendships, who spoke poorly of other women, who criticized other women and their bodies and their choices, or raised us to believe that we could not trust other women, which is the majority of women's experiences in their relationship to their mother, we understand why we are in this tragic situation that we are in now, where so many women tell me that they have very few friends and they really don't trust other women because they feel that other women will take what they have, or the other women will talk behind their back. And this will be a whole nother episode at some point, but really, and some of it will be covered today. My antidote to this situation is, rather than continue to feel threatened by other women, it's learning how to become a safe woman yourself so that you neutralize those situations and you don't even attract women who vibrate with that low energy. When you become a safe, grounded woman, which we're going to talk about some of the ways to begin doing that today, you will attract like kind of energy. So when we think about being in princess energy is the woman who is blaming other people very often. She is very much in her victim energy, and she feels like things don't go her way because of outside circumstances, because her lack of luck or opportunities, or because of her childhood, or because of her current circumstances. So she also does that as it relates to other women. Oh, well, that worked out for her because she was given this opportunity, or she had this privilege. That's why those things happened for her. And so they spend a lot of time. This is the princess. They spend a lot of time in the energy of othering themselves, so much they other themselves so far out of the picture that they don't even open the possibility for abundance for themselves, because we will never be able to become the thing which we despise, the thing which we hold repulsion towards or feel angry about, because you're literally not an energetic match to the thing that you are despising, that you are putting down or criticizing. So often what happens is, when you're in princess energy, it's everybody else's fault. And you also feel a sense of threat and jealousy around other women and their success, whether it's the successful relationship they have with their own body, the successful relationship they have with a partner, the success they are having in business, whether it's working for a corporation, building their own business, the success they have in the relationships they have with their family members. You just feel a sense of threat. And you then turn to making excuses about why she had that situation happen for her, and or you vilify her in some way, rather than look at what she has, and that feeling you're feeling maybe being a signal that you too would like to have similar success. So again, princesses continue to cut themselves off from opportunities because they stay in blaming and they stay in victim, which is just such a low energy. But when you decide to step into the energy of a queen, the way the queen moves in the world is she sees every experience and opportunity that she encounters, that she feels a lot of feeling around, even if it's feeling triggered or feeling jealous or envious. The queen is able to say, I'm curious about this. I notice that I'm feeling a little envious around this woman. I notice I'm feeling almost like I'm not good enough when I'm around her. Or I notice I'm wanting to make excuses for her joy or her success and just assume that she got lucky. Or because her parents, she was born into wealth. So the queen is able to stay in her curiosity when she starts to feel that slip into victim energy, into princess energy. She says to herself, what possibly could this woman's experience or her success and my feelings about it actually be telling me? Because the queen is able to understand that it is never that surface feeling that she feels, that she makes decisions about her life on. She has the depth and the knowledge, I suppose it is, to go deeper, to excavate further, to understand how this initial knee-jerk reaction, this feeling she's having, is signaling something much deeper about herself. And this is where she is able to take herself into this deep level of understanding of who she really is and what she so desires. So the queen functions so much below the surface, where the princess is functioning just on a very shallow level and skimming across everything on the surface and not having the depth or the ability to hold herself in those moments and mine even deeper and go into the trenches to understand the connection of the surface feeling and what it may mean underneath. So she stays contracted, she stays limited. Even if you look at it as it relates to beauty, for example, a princess will feel threatened by another woman's beauty in a room because she feels like it's in a direct competition or direct threat to her. She also, as a princess, is holding the male gaze and the toxic beauty culture as the standard for her living. Where the queen understands that every single beautiful woman who walks into a room is never a direct threat. It's just more beauty in the room. The queen also has disconnected herself from centering the male gaze and knowing that is such a limiting and insulting storyline. She understands that she exists for so much more than being looked at as an object. She also understands the depth of her experience in this three-dimensional body and is not in a place where she falls for the cheap scams and marketing of toxic beauty culture, because the queen knows that her life is made for so much more than an external appearance. So we can see how the princess struggles in relationships with other women, struggles in creating safety in her body and in friendship, struggles to attract other safe women. She struggles to be in a room where there are other women who are beautiful as well, because she operates from this limited and scarce mindset that says, but there's only room for a couple women to be smart. And there's only room for a couple women to build wealth. And there's only room for a couple women to have a happy relationship. And there's only room for a couple women to be beautiful. And there's only room, and there's only room, and there's only room. So she builds an entire lifetime where she puts herself further and further into this very isolating corner, where over time she's hanging by a bare thread of existence, because she hasn't built her life on anything more than this really limited landscape. So the queen is a woman who starts to ask the bigger questions, who starts to allow real consciousness to percolate. And she goes into the depths of every experience of living, because she knows that this very short-lived human experience that we are having is meant for so much more than being in competition with other women and feeling threatened by other women And she's able to see, as I say over and over again, the success of another woman is the inspiration, the experience, the evidence that she too gets to have that. But it is really fascinating how many women feel so incredibly contracted and terrified of other women, other women's beauty, other women's success, other women's sensuality. It is wild to me how we see that as a direct threat to what we get to have. And as the queen of my own life, every time I see a woman step into another incredible level of her life, I look at it as evidence of what I get to claim as well. So this is the work of a queen. A queen always uses their examples, their lived examples of their lives as what gets to be possible for herself. She also looks at every time, this is the queen, she looks at every time she is in the room or a space with another beautiful woman. She's able to really see the uniqueness and the beauty of every single individual woman. She feels so good to be around because she doesn't feel, and you know, you've been standing in the room with those women. I can spot them a mile away. The women who start to feel like they are somehow now in direct threat with you. That if you walk into the room and you have any level of attraction, that they now are going to have to one up you. And I see women do this and I want to take them by the shoulders and say, oh my gosh, my love, there's room for everybody. And the least interesting thing about any of us in this room is the way that we look. But oftentimes for a princess, that is not the truth, because a princess has built her life on her external beauty. She believes her only worth in the world is the youthfulness of her face, the thinness of her waist, and the thickness of her eyebrows. She has absorbed a message from toxic beauty culture that says that her value is only in that. So the princess will forever remain on that path of it never being enough. And I see women progress well past their 50s into their 60s, 70s, and beyond. And I've met many of these women. And it feels really tragic to me that they have spent most of their lifetime and will probably die living at the capacity of a princess, never being able to architect that inner queen, never believing that she was worth more than a three-dimensional object in this lifetime. And so when you feel the loneliness, when you feel the desire to be around other women and you look and notice that you have so few safe women in your life, the first place you get to look is within and ask yourself, am I functioning as it relates to other women and friendships? Am I functioning as a baby princess? Or have I really started to step into my queen energy? And rather than feel threatened by other women, trade that out for inspiration. Rather than feel triggered, trade that out for activation. So while we remain in that contracted, small energy of that little princess who feels like there's only so many pieces of cake left, and she has to fight and scramble for hers and hoard it and hide it at all costs, she's the one who will be starving emotionally, starving in relationships, and wonder what happened because she never learned to source as a safe woman. And that's what the queen does. This is something that our mothers were not able to teach us because our grandmothers often weren't able to teach them. Because the further we go back from now 5,000 years when patriarchy was built, it is a structure that was built to keep women feeling threatened by one another. Imagine what happens when you are able to keep a group, when you create the idea of scarcity and limitation and competition. Imagine what happens. You are able to control and stay in power over that group because that group is infighting so much and feeling threatened and triggered by each other so much, they'll never be able to come together to rise in power. It plays out perfectly. So as I watch women continue to step on one another, and it happens to me so often, especially in this space, the level of women who feel this direct threat towards me and any of my success, and I'm talking about women in the industry, it is so sad, as if there is only space for a few of us. I want this message to be as wide, as far, and as deep as possible so that we can create real fundamental change for the next generation. We will not be able to access real fundamental change if there are only a few women speaking. We all have our different styles and our different ways of bringing it. But I will say, and this will be hard, I know, for many people to hear, is that while women continue to speak poorly of one another, feel jealous and threatened by one another, every time we do that, please understand, take it and point it right back to yourself, because that poison you are spewing towards other women is the medicine and the poison that you actually feel inside for yourself. Because true grounded queen energy sees the expansive space for everyone. I see the princesses running around. I see the women terrified to even have a conversation with me. And I'm sure you feel that too for yourself. And I'm sure at times you've been that woman yourself. It is that fear inside that says, there isn't enough room for all of us. So I'm going to speak poorly of her. I'm going to reject her. I'm going to push her away because there isn't enough and I'm in competition with her. And in the end, that will be a very lonely place to live. It is the women who decide to link arms and come together and realize that the more women do come together, the more opportunity we have to create change. So I share this just to say, I am no different than any of you. I too experience this every day from other women. I probably experience at a level that is quite large in comparison because of my public space, if you will, on social media, a choice that I've actively made because this message means so much more to me than any of the other byproducts that happen as a result. And as the queen, I'm able to hold myself in an energy that says, I see their fear. And that's why they run. That's why they feel triggered. I see their fear. And that's okay. They're on their own unique journey. I will stand here deeply grounded, continuing to share my message, not changing one word for anybody else's comfortability. And whether it's for colleagues or clients, I know that this message will always land in the right hands, and it absolutely does every time. It is what has brought the most soul-aligned clients to my work. It is what has brought the most magical colleagues into my life. It's the women who are able to stand there and say, we are doing this together. And you will find that it at sometimes can be what feels like an isolating journey because we are still tadpoles at learning how to be safe women. We are still in the very beginning stages of understanding and normalizing inside of our bodies and our nervous systems what it feels like to be a woman who stands so grounded in her message, in her body, in her decisions, in her wealth, in her business, in her voice, in her agency, in her choices, and doesn't shake or change or alter who she is for the likability of others. That is not being a bitch. That is being a queen. But we have labeled women who are so assured of themselves. We have labeled them as bitches. because it is another tactic by which we can get her to change her course, quiet her voice, change her message, change the way she shows up. I hear it from women every single day asking me, but if I really do the thing that I so desire in my heart, I feel like friends and family and my partner may fall away. And then the princess is often the one who is so terrified of losing her princess connections that she does nothing. And it's the queen who says, I'm ready to step into the fullness of who I am, trusting that the people that stay and cheer are the ones who were actually meant for me, are the ones who actually were meant for this journey. I've got to tell you, I think I've shared this before, and I say this, I share this as inspiration for each of you. Everybody roots for the beginner. Everybody's excited for the woman who has an idea. It's so cute. It's so adorable. It's just, oh, just love. That's just so amazing that she's going to put herself out there and do the thing. Cheer, cheer, rah, rah. That's amazing. You go and pay attention when you do and you soar. Pay attention to who is standing there saying, keep going. Oh my gosh, you're doing it. This is incredible. This is amazing. It will be a much, much smaller number. That has been my experience. And that is because women have still not normalized being able to watch another woman soar and still joyfully be by her side. We don't know how to feel okay in our nervous systems when we see another woman's success. So we make her wrong, we make her bad, we other ourselves, we tell ourselves these limited stories that she probably wouldn't want to be friends with us anymore anyways. And so we make all these excuses and just slowly go away. I share that to say that know that if you have something you so desire to walk out in this lifetime, a calling so much bigger for yourself, and you are fearful that you will lose people, you will lose people who are not meant for your journey, and you will lose women. You'll lose people who are threatened by you, and you will in particular lose women who have not yet learned to step out of their own princess energy. They've not learned to evolve into the queen. So as you start to evolve into that queen energy and really take ownership of your life and really start to take charge of your life and step out of victim energy, they won't have as much in common with you anymore. So unless they decide to shed the princess dress and step into the queen gown, it will be a mismatch energy. And I found that to be true for myself as well. There's so much mismatched energy for me. So there are many things that make sense that they're not a fit anymore. And there are some, it's because I know there are certain women who could not normalize or feel safe inside of their nervous systems standing next to me. Because we've not had a lot of examples of women actually saying their dream, actualizing it 10 timesing what they ever dreamed of, and then having people still there. So know that at times it may be a road where it feels a little bit lonely. But I would rather be with a handful of incredible queens than a sea of princesses who are in their victim energy. And that is part of why I created my community, the Muses, because this is a space. Women from all over the world are a part of this community. I'm there answering questions every day. We meet on Zoom once a month, and I have live opportunities on Facebook where I'm speaking to them every month as well, where we are taking radical responsibility for our lives, not functioning at all in princess energy. And the infusion of watching other women claim so much more for their lives just allows everyone else to keep going higher. And I've created this community where women are learning how to be safe first and foremost inside of their bodies so that they can then be safe for other women. So we can then build the fempires. so we can then change the trajectory, not just for ourselves, but for the future generations of women. Because I will tell you, I see myself as a part of a revolutionary movement where we have to do better by one another, and we have to do better for the next generation. So if you are looking for a place and a space to step out of your princess energy as it relates to sisterhood, if you want to actually fully recover from the sisterhood wound, my space, the Muses, is the exact perfect place to do just that. That is why I've created that community. Because until you've actually healed that, you can't really step into the next level that you are meant to. Because if you have sisterhood wounding around other women, you also hold it within yourself, and it shows up as internalized misogyny. It's that hatred of women. It's the hatred of women's success, of women's beauty, of women's love in their lives, of any experience they're having that is positive. Because we've spent so many years commiserating in misery. We know how to do that, but we don't know how to hold and normalize other women's joy and success. So if you're looking for a place to do that, come and join us over at the Muses. It is an incredible way to work with me for a very small price every single month. I look forward to seeing you there so we can make more magic together for you, first and foremost, for your life, your relationships, your financial situation, your relationship to your body, your healing, and your up-leveling. That's what the princess does. She stops looking for excuses, and she decides, and decide is the actionable word that takes your life. Where you cross that bridge from princess to queen is you decide. You decide you want more. You decide that you will no longer participate in victim energy. You decide that you will put yourself in a place and a space where the conversations are more luxurious, are more high level. You decide that you are ready for answers and change and action and abundance. Once you decide, everything gets to change. And it is actually that simple. We overcomplicate our lives so much. We spend so many years swirling in misery. And when you decide to exit, because we choose to stay in those patterns. When you decide to exit, we'll be waiting for you at the Muses. And if you've decided you want to exit, but you don't know how to exit the misery and the patterns of suffering in your life, come to the Muses and I will teach you exactly how to do just that. I'll see you there.